Hello and welcome to everybody. Today, the topic that I have chosen for this brief presentation is the characteristics of neoclassical and romantic poetry. The reason behind choosing this topic is that most of the time it happens almost in classroom that if a poem is to be taught, that poem without giving a proper background and relevant information about the poet and the era in which the poet existed, a poem is taught. So it becomes difficult to ensure whether students understood the poem properly or not. So in my brief presentation, I'm going to explain some basic differences between the neoclassical and romantic poetry. In fact, these are the characteristics of neoclassical and romantic poetry. So let's see, the way I have tried to differentiate these things are very brief and simpler. The period of neoclassical era starts from 1660 to 1789 or 1798. So historians have divided these periods into certain segments in order to make it convenient to readers to understand the history of English literature. And the period of romantic era starts from 1789 or 1798 to 1830 or 1832. So why these dates or why these years are typically demarcated? The thing is that in 1798, William Wordsworth has written a preface to the lyrical ballad. In fact, his first edition came out in 1798, and in almost 1800, 1812, then up to 1815, its further editions kept coming, kept published. And again in 1830 or in 1832, Queen Victoria II came to the, in 1837, Queen Victoria came to the throne, but before that there was a bill that came and Victorian period seems to be started. Therefore, this period has been covered from 1798 to 1830 or 1832. So, in order to understand the characteristics of neoclassical and romantic poetry, it is also necessary to see who were the poets who wrote poems and their poems became famous during these particular periods. So in the neoclassical period, poets like John Dryden, Alexander Pope, and Thomas Gray, and in romantic periods, William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, P.B. Shelley, and John Keats. So the neoclassical era, or the poets that existed in the neoclassical period, were influenced by the classical poets. As this is called, or as the title that has been given to this period is the neoclassical period, means the classical period was already existed, and this period has been re-entitled as neoclassical period. It means there is some addition or there is some modification, but the culture and the manner of writing poetry that was typically followed by these neoclassical poets, whereas the romantic poets were influenced by Rousseau, or if I want to mention it very typically, that these romantic poets or the romantic era seems to be influenced by the French Revolution. Another basic difference or the characteristic that I would like to share here is that the neoclassical poetry is intellectual and the romantic poetry is emotional. Intellectual in the sense that the neoclassical poetry emphasizes upon reason rather than emotion, whereas the romantic poetry emphasizes upon emotion. Even William Wordsworth has defined the romantic poetry as this poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected into tranquility. So, poetry is the overflow, spontaneous in the sense that it should not be based on reason, or there shouldn't be a typical thought involved. If somebody wants to write a poetry, then the poem or poetry should be abundant in emotions. The neoclassical poetry deals with social reality. So this basic characteristic should be understood because it will clear the difference between the romantic poetry and the neoclassical poetry. The neoclassical poetry deals with social reality and hardly talks about the poet's personal thoughts and emotions. So hardly talks about poet's personal thoughts and emotions in the sense that neoclassical poetry is rather objective, whereas the romantic poetry is subjective. Neoclassical poetry portrays the social phenomena, whereas the romantic poetry uh, emphasizes upon the personal feelings and personal thoughts. It expresses the poet's personal thoughts and emotions and does not comment on social issues at all. The neoclassical poetry is social, it is a social commentary. It is a reflective in nature that if somebody reads a poem, then the reader gets influenced, or the society about which the poem was written creates a kind of impact on the mind of the reader. Whereas the romantic poetry is expressive in nature in the sense that it expresses the poet's inner being. Neoclassical poetry is a social document. Since the neoclassical poetry is impersonal, as I already mentioned that the poetry is objective as it does not speak about poet himself or herself, it rather focuses upon the society and the era in which the poet or the society existed. And we should not, or we do not find the use of the first person pronoun I, whereas compared to this neoclassical poetry, frequently we come across the use of the first person pronoun I, and therefore in the poem, for example, John Keats called Wordsworth egoistical sublime. So John Keats has used this term, egoistical sublime. In the neoclassical poetry, there is a respect, or there seems to be a respect for the rules of writing. That there is a specific word that we find when we read some books on neoclassical era, that the word is decorum. Respect for the rules of writing is one of the features of neoclassical poetry, that if somebody wants to write a poem, that the poem should be written in typical format. There should be a typical meter, there should be typical style, there should be certain words which are only suitable for writing poetry. Whereas romantic poets did not care for the rules of writing poetry. So many times when we read a particular phenomenon about neoclassical poetry, we come across an opposite or a reverse phenomenon in romantic poetry. So why this happens? This happens, there seems to be kind of revolt against the strict rules and decorum of the neoclassical era, which was brought about by poets like William Wordsworth, P.B. Shelley, John Keats, and some other poets also. Neoclassicists tried to imitate classical poets, as I already mentioned, as closely possible as close as and therefore hardly tried anything new. It resulted in a rigidity in the sense that there seems to be no place for any emotion or for any extension to the personal thought of the poet. It is very strict, and the rules and regulations involved in the poetics of writing poetry are very strict. Whereas, on the other hand, romanticists means those poets who existed in the romantic era are called romanticists. Believed in the originality, means if something exists, then it should be mentioned or it should be expressed as it is, and therefore these poets took liberty in their writing, and therefore it has been already mentioned that there is an influence of the French Revolution that took place in 1789. The poets used formal, complex, and mechanical language in their poetry. The Romantic poets deliberately used simple language, the language actually used by men to suit their simple themes. Even Romantic poets like Wordsworth, who emphasized upon nature, who emphasized upon common people, rustic, and Wordsworth in his some poems tried to reduce the distance between man and nature. His every poem gives us a message that man should live in the surrounding or in the lap of nature. So therefore, man would realize the existence of nature, and nature is everything. So his poems or poems of some other poets are based on very simple themes and simple language that should be understood by common people. This was not the case with the new classical poetry. Neoclassical poetry focused on city life, especially city like London, and the manners and etiquettes of aristocratic people. Those people who are upper class people, like aristocratic people, and the quintessence of the neoclassical poetry, the poem or the mock epic that has been written by Alexander Pope, The Rape of the Lock. Whereas the focus of romantic poetry was on nature and supernaturalism and these two things, nature and supernaturalism, became very dominant themes. Romantic poetry talked about peasants, flowers, mountains, fountains, birds, and children. For example, Wordsworth's poem Daffodils can be said to be the best example of the romantic poetry. In the neoclassical poetry, we often come across the use of heroic couplet. Its extensive use has given a certain pattern to the neoclassical poetry, in which a rhyming couplet with iambic pentameter appears there. Whereas the particular form of romantic poetry was a ballad, which suited very well to the spontaneity and creativity to the romantic poets, and therefore romantic poetry is very different from neoclassical poetry. Neoclassical poets were masters in use of satire because the society was very aristocratic, and the poets tried to criticize the faults in that society through their poetry. And I should say that the critical thinking and intelligence of the poet appeared in their poetry. And the use of heightened imagination in romantic poetry and sharpened sensibility is one of the major characteristics of the romantic poetry. See, the use of satire is there in the neoclassical poetry, whereas the use of heightened imagination and sharpened sensibility. And in the neoclassical poetry, the poets were very keen observers of society. They focused on city life and neglected country life. They hardly composed on the issues concerning on rural and rustic life. Romanticists did not find themselves comfortable in urban and peasant life. They ran away from the reality and found solace in nature. For example, poems of Wordsworth. In the poems of Wordsworth, we see this kind of escapism from the reality, and poet finds solace in nature, in supernaturalism, especially S.T. Coleridge. In his poems like Kubla Khan, we have seen the elements of supernaturalism, and there seems to be an escapism from the social reality that was very heightened in the neoclassical poetry. See here, another characteristic of neoclassical poetry and its opposite characteristic of romantic poetry, we will see. Through their composition, the neoclassicists try to correct the follies of the contemporary aristocratic society. Follies in the sense that vices, means the poetry of the neoclassical poets was very critical. It was critical of society, it was critical of the manners, it was critical of the behaviors, and it was critical of everything. And therefore, a simple format of writing their poetry was satire, and it corrected or it gave a kind of message for the rectification of contemporary aristocratic society. However, this was not the case with the romantic poetry. What was done in the romantic poetry by the poets like John Keats and poets like P.V. Shelley, that Greek past and future. Greek past appears there to be in John Keats's poem, and future has been portrayed in Shelley's poem. That is why the romanticists are also called escapists, as I already mentioned. In short, The neoclassical poetry is didactic in nature, didactic in the sense that it gives us a message, it gives us a sense that something wrong is happening in society which should be corrected, and that correction message is given through that poetry. It could be said that the neoclassical poetry, or the impact the literature that was written in the neoclassical era, was arts for humanity's sake, as it was for the cause of humanity, whereas the romantic poetry is not didactic in nature, but it gives us an aesthetic pleasure. And therefore, in short, if I want to summarize the romantic poetry, I would say that the literature that was written in the romantic era was arts for art's sake, that there was only aesthetic sense, whereas in the neoclassical poetry it was for the humanity's sake. So here, this is what these are the brief characteristics of romantic poetry and neoclassical poetry, which I have tried to put here through my presentation. I hope that this presentation, you like the presentation, as it has been made very succinctly in order to understand a basic background before studying any neoclassical or any romantic poetry. Thank you very much. Thank you.